In this video, we're playing one of my favorite modern decks, Izzet Breach with the Dragon's Reach Channeler and Underworld Breach. It is so much fun, and I know that you're going to enjoy this video. Let's go check out the deck list. How does this deck work? Well, it's actually pretty simple. So the idea is that it entirely bases around the card Underworld Breach, which lets you escape cards from your graveyard for 3 cards plus their mana value. So you fill your graveyard using Dragon's Reach Channeler, a card that makes it so all of your non-land spells or non-creature spells have Surveil 1. So you play things like Mishra's Bauble that surveil for free, or Manamorphose, wherever that is, since it essentially surveils for free. Same thing with this Strike It Rich. And then you make mana using Desperate Ritual or Pyretic Ritual, and eventually you cast a lethal Grapeshot. So if I'm being completely honest with you, earlier on tonight I tried to record a list that I didn't really enjoy. So a bunch of people on the last video, and you can find that in the card above, were like, Bryant, you should be playing a main deck Thassa's Oracle. It makes so much sense. It allows you to beat the ring. So I played it, and it was pretty bad. So one of the things about this deck is you don't actually surveil your entire library most of the time when you combo off. You surveil like half of it. And there was a couple times where if I had milled over, or where I did mill over the Thassa's Oracle, and if it was a Grapeshot, I theoretically could have won the game. So that was an issue. The other thing that I was doing was I was playing Street Wraith over Lightning Bolt because I wanted to like make the theme of like the most turbo version ever. And then I just constantly wanted Lightning Bolt the entire league. In fact, there was a few points where if I had a Lightning Bolt, I could have just gone Underworld Breach, Bolt, you win. And I didn't have that. So tonight we're just going to play my stock list with no memes or gimmicks or whatever. I just really like this deck and I want to showcase it for you. So hopefully you enjoy the video. If you do, like, comment, and subscribe. But without any further ado, let's head on in to match number 1. I'll see you there. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You can also show your support by becoming a member of this channel. You get sweet perks such as badges, emotes, early access to videos, exclusive members only content, and access to our members Discord section. As you increase the tiers, there are other rewards such as shop discounts, sideboard guides, and even free donation decks. Click the join button down below to find out more. We also have other ways you can support us, like theepicstorm.com/shop or submitting a donation deck via theepicstorm.com/donation decks. That's enough for now. Let's play some Magic. We're in match number 1, and this hand is a single Dragon's Reach Channeler away from greatness. I can't talk. Please forgive me. We'll keep. Turn 1 Soul Scar Mage. Sure. I think we just want to slow the game down. Our opponent's on 4 cards. I'm just going to bolt their creature here. And it looks like they're on Prowess. They have a Fiery Islet, 4 cards in hand. They play a Crash Through, so they are lacking a creature. Yeah, they just pass. Let's thin our deck of another Steam Vents, and then we'll just play a Strike It Rich. No need to force yourself to be faster. So I think one big flaw that happens a lot with combo decks is people think to themselves, I'm playing combo, I have to go fast, I have to win right now. And it's the biggest lesson that I tell people in videos that's not true. Or tutoring sessions, I should say. Like, people sign up for tutoring sessions, and they're just like, okay, it's turn 2, I have to go off, I'm going to cast this ritual. And I'm like, what are you doing? Your opponent's playing a slow deck, just play to the speed of the matchup. I say that all the time. So, really, don't feel the pressure unless you're going to die. Like, you can be patient, it's going to be okay. There are matchups where the fundamental turn changes. So, for example, if I'm not going to die on turn 2, but my opponent will play a Thalia Guardian of Thraben on the second turn, that might as well be dying. So then you're incentivized to try to win. But if your opponent's playing a fair strategy like a control deck, just be patient. Sit there, do your thing. Alright, well, our opponent has done a better job at filling up their graveyard than we have. They have 4 cards in there. We're at 14 life. We find a Consider. Let's start on the Consider here. I don't need a Bauble, that can go to the graveyard. We find another land. Let's thin here. I'll go to 13. Grab another Steam Vents. And then we'll play Preordain. I'm going to bottom the Strike It Rich, and then we'll keep the extra Preordain. Pass the turn. For being a 14 land deck, we sure are hitting our land drops this game. They hit me with a Spikefield Hazard. Sure. Light up the stage. They find a mountain and some card I've never seen before. Electrostatic Infiltrate. or I'm sorry, infantry. It's 2 mana for a 1/2 trample. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, put a +1/+1 counter on electrostatic can't talk infantry. I can read, I just can't talk. Whew. It's difficult. I'm recording this pretty late at night after the kid went to sleep, so trying to make videos for you all, and sometimes I'm just a little exhausted. Alright, so they're at 17. I think we can win with this. We'll keep both of these. Who needs creatures? Desperate Ritual will play Manamorphose. And that's another thing. When you're playing Lightning Bolt, you don't need double Dragon's Reach Channeler every game. You can just play a couple Lightning Bolts and then Grapeshot your opponent for lethal. Bobble. Bobble. Like, I think when you just have 3 Grapeshots and 4 Bolts, your deck is more consistent. Play an Underworld Breach. Let's look at their top card. It's a Bolt. Look at my top card. It's a Pact of Negation. Let's play a Desperate Ritual. Firm's 8. Cast a Grapeshot targeting our opponent. Who's the burn deck now? Our opponent is now 8 and will cast another Grapeshot. That was sweet. Off to game number 2. You could bring in Aria of Flame to try to win without using the graveyard. I don't know if we need Pact of Negation, so we can definitely board those out. And then you could also board in like Void Snare or Echoing Truth. I think I'll bring in the Arias just as a way to dodge graveyard hate. Unfortunately, this is a mulligan. We'll send that back. This is pretty good. Keep, and I'll get rid of a Lightning Bolt. They have Leyline of the Void. Okay. So not the graveyard hate I was expecting. Out of a Prowess deck, I would have guessed something like a Tormod's Crypt. So I think that changes my game plan. I'm now going to try to find something. I'm going to try to find the Aria. And then we'll accelerate into the Aria rather than playing out this Dragon's Reach Channeler. So let's play the Preordain. Bottom the Dragon's Reach Channeler. We'll keep the land. Play out the Bobble. Let's look at their top card. It's another Mountain. We find another Ritual. Manamorphose. They made 2 red. Another Manamorphose. So they're not Izzet. They're not playing Sprite Dragon by the looks of it. And they just double bolt me. They have 3 cards left in their hand. We find Grapeshot. Let's play our Channeler. Pass the turn. Monastery Swift Spear. They're going to Lava Dart, targeting my Channeler. Let's respond here. I'll grab the Mountain, and we'll attempt to kill the Monastery Swift Spear. We get our Surveil trigger, get rid of the land, and then the Lava Dart will kill my Channeler. They have 2 cards in hand, 1 card now, with a Lava Dart in the graveyard. I'll hold the Striker Rich for now. Like, if we draw another Grapeshot, it's 2 extra damage, and if I draw... Ooh, that's scary. If I draw into Aria, it buys me time. This Kiln Fiend could kill me pretty quickly. There's the Aria. I think I'm pressured here to kill the Kiln Fiend, because if I pass this thing, the odds that it kills me are so high. So I'm forced to just play this a little more slowly. We'll get rid of the Kiln Fiend. Their card in hand was Apostle's Blessing. Wow. Okay. So they can flashback a Lava Dart next turn. They drew a land. They flashback the Dart. So I go to 9 and now this has 4 power. They attack for 4. I'm at 5. So if I fetch, I'm dead to any spell next turn. But I don't think I'm beating any spell anyway. So I'm going to just play the Aria Flame and pass the turn. Our opponent's at 26. The odds I win this are so low. And that would have killed me anyway. Fetch or not. Okay, so we're going to go off to game number 3 at this point. I guess I'll bring in Void Snare and Echoing Truth. I wonder if you're supposed to board out the Channelers? Probably not, but worth thinking about. Board out 2 copies of Striker Rich and 1 Grapeshot. Let's try this. Game 3, we're on the play. This hand is great. We will keep. So as our opponent, no Leyline this time. We will fetch, grab our basic, play a Preordain. We're going to keep both of these. And they just play a Mountain and pass the turn. I'll pass. They Lava Dart me, I go to 18. They play an Arid Mesa. Monastery Swift Spear. So they waited for Apostle's Blessing, I think. I'll take one. I'm not going to play into their trick. And now we'll draw the Underworld Breach. I thought it was an Underworld Breach on top. Did I accidentally bottom the breach? I must have. Okay. That's fine. So if I go to 14, what are the odds they kill me? Alright. I'll go to 14. I'm going to Desperate Ritual, then play the Aria. This way I can hold open a Lightning Bolt. If I Lightning Bolt now, the Apostle's Blessing doesn't deal me damage. So let's Bolt now. We'll save targets, target them. It's one less damage if I Bolt on my turn and then the Apostle's Blessing. Didn't see that coming. Crazy. I can't believe they had it the whole time. And now I just have to hope that they don't deal me 14 damage on their turn. They'll have 5 cards in hand and a Lava Dart in the graveyard. Okay. Please don't have it. You don't want to kill me from here. They bolt me, so I'll go to 11. Lava Dart me from hand. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm at 3. So if they have another bolt, I'm dead. Yeah. I mean, this is 5. If your last card in hand is Lightning Bolt. If you draw a bolt, we'll play it. Attempt to kill their Swift Spear. Play Preordain. We'll keep both of these. Pass the turn. Come on, no whammies. Land number 2. Helm Fiend. On their end step, we'll bolt them. They're at 13. Pyretic Ritual. Underworld Breach. And then escape a Pyretic Ritual. And our opponent concedes. That's match number 1. Pretty sweet. Technically, we had it without the breach. I could have just played Underworld, or I could have just played Lightning Bolt, and then that would have been lethal. But I'm here to cast Underworld Breach, let's be honest. 1-0, 4 matches left to go. Moxfield.com is the easiest way to build a Magic deck online. They support over 30 formats, including Legacy and many other Eternal formats. There are so many options to view decks the way that you want, from text view to individual cards, mana value, and even card price. There's also light mode and dark mode. My personal favorite feature is card tags. This way you can sort cards by function. Moxfield supports collection tracking, Scryfall search, decklist feedback, and so much more. Follow me on Moxfield.com so you can stay updated on all of my decks. Welcome to round number 2. We might be looking at a turn 2 win here depending on what our opponent's playing today. So I would have to find a second mana on turn 2, but then this wins. So I'm hoping that is the case. They have a turn 1 Flooded Strand. I really hope we get a turn 2. That would be amazing. So we can preordain on turn 1, and then on turn 2 play a Pyretic Ritual, assuming we find a land. Play our Dragon's Rage Channeler. Ritual, Underworld Breach, and then try to party. They play Preordain. 2 cards on top. We find a Grapeshot. That doesn't really help me for the turn 2. I mean, it's not terrible, it's just it's not what I need at the moment. I am forced to bottom both of these cards. We found the land. Come on, opponent, tap out for something I don't care about here. Ledger Shredder. Something. Nope. Alright, I'm not going to jam into open mana. We'll just play a Steam Vents and pass. Our opponent uses Flooded Strand. They search out a Rafine's Tower. And then they cycle a Lorien Revealed. Actually, I think I recognize our opponent's name. It came up on Twitter today that there's somebody playing Mystical Teachings Control. And I think it's this person. Could be wrong, but I think it is. We'll fetch. Let's play Dragon's Rage Channeler. And then we will attempt a Pyretic Ritual. Surveil trigger. They spell pierce the ritual. Okay. Surveil trigger. Let's put that on the great. We don't need more mana. Pass the turn. Land number 4. The Bowmaster is my channeler. That's actually pretty hurtful. Nice people don't do that. Okay. We find Pact of Negation. I believe we can try to win here. So we'll start off on Pyretic Ritual. So the rule with this deck is you need 4 mana to win. So you need Underworld Breach plus an additional way to cast a ritual after. So by having an extra ritual here, I can play Breach, escape the Channeler, and then try to win. Because we really need Dragon's Rage Channeler. Well, I guess it's going to be tough when there's a Bowmasters in play. I didn't consider that. Yeah, maybe I should have waited. I could have just played it safe and Grapeshotted the Bowmaster this turn. Or I can try to just double Grapeshot. Maybe that's the line. They're at 16, Storm 4. We'll do red. We find a Striker Rich, that's perfect. Play Striker Rich, Storm 5. Interesting, they're deciding to respond at this very moment. They go down to 15. I will cast a Pyretic Ritual, Storm 6, 2 mana, for another Orcish Bowmaster. I'm going to pact into... should I? I don't even care about this. No, I'm going to let the Bowmasters resolve. I think countering the Bowmasters would actually just be a trap. Because I lose to a Force of Negation that I wouldn't otherwise need to lose to. And now we'll just double Grapeshot the opponent and send them home. Okay. And now we'll fetch and Grapeshot again. Did I say fetch? Sacrifice the treasure? I don't know what I'm talking about. We win game number 1. I think I probably want the extra Pact of Negation. This seems like a great Blood Moon matchup, so let's bring those in. And we could probably just take out the Lightning Bolts. I don't know if I really love Bolt in this matchup. Yeah, they have Orcish Bowmasters, but I don't think that's what this is really defined by. Double Grapeshot. I don't know how much I love that. Let's send this back. I feel like this hand's basically mulligan to 5 as is. Much better. We'll keep and get rid of a copy of Underworld Breach. Turn 1 Polluted Delta. I'm going to fetch using the Flooded Strand. So I want to Blood Moon our opponent, and I feel like if you just start off by fetching for basics, it kind of spooks them a little bit. So I'm sort of hiding my ability to ruin them with a Blood Moon here. I think I want both of these cards. Pass the turn. They search up a Ketria Triome, and then they play a Polluted Delta. Let's play a Preordain, see if they respond with a Bowmaster. They don't. We're going to bottom both of these. I just don't need a Manamorphose right now. Actually, should I keep it? If we're going to win with Breach, I probably want 1, and then I'll pass. I can consider in response to their fetch to avoid a possible Bowmaster, but I feel like they probably would have played it in response to the Preordain. I'm going to keep... Maybe I'm, overreacting by keeping all this counter magic, but I do think this game's probably going to come down to a counter war, and having multiple packs is very good at winning the counter war. Okay, 4 cards in graveyard. Fetch. I'm going to grab the basic. I just don't want to deal myself more damage. Preordain. We find our channeler. I'm going to keep both of these. I am ready to go off next turn with double counter backup. They use their Flooded Strand. They do grab a basic. They draw 2 cards with an Archmage's Charm. They have 8 cards in hand now. They go to 15 for a Hallowed Fountain. Okay, so 7 cards. One of the things about our opponent's deck is like they're a flash deck, so they almost never tap out. Vesper Ritual. A Fatal Push. Trying to figure out if I can win without the channeler here. I think I'm going to just let this happen. I think trying to counter here would be a mistake. We'll surveil the Striker Rich, and then flash it back. Pass the turn. Land number 5 for our opponent. They play it tapped. They have 6 cards in hand. Let's try a Breach. We have 2 of them. They counter, we'll pass. The only concern I have here is if for some reason they have Surgical Extraction, but with having a second one, I think I'm okay just passing the turn. Land number 6. Let's play Manamorphose. There's a Bowmaster. We'll Manamorphose again in response. Red and a blue. Bowmaster pings me, I go to 12. Manamorphose. Do red, blue. Draw a Pyretic Ritual. And let's play an Underworld Breach. They have 4 cards. I feel like this is my spot. They're resolved. Let's escape Dragon's Rage Channeler. Term is 5. And now I will play Pyretic Ritual Storm 6. Blossoming Calm. I'm going to pack this. We'll bin the other Channeler. Bin the Pyretic Ritual. Play a Striker Rich. Our opponent appears to be F6 here. Alright, Striker Rich. Storm is 9. I'm going to escape the other Dragon's Rage Channeler. Get rid of a land. Pyretic Ritual, Desperate Ritual. Sacrifice for red. I'll play a Pyretic Ritual. Manamorphose. Pact of Negation. And the other ritual. So now we get 2 surveils here. Looking for Grapeshot. Spin the Scalding Tarn and the other Underworld Breach. Pyretic Ritual will resolve. I'll now play Manamorphose. Exile land, Underworld Breach, Strike it Rich. Term is 12. Surveil away Dragon's Rage Channeler, surveil away the land. And now we'll do blue-red. They get one Bowmaster ping here. They ping my Channeler. I'll play a Pyretic Ritual. Term is now 13. We've seen 50% of our deck and we have not found the Grapeshots yet. Escape another Channeler. Exile Mishra's Bauble, land, consider. So now I surveil 3 for every spell. Let's Manamorphose. Get rid of the Pact, Ritual. I need to think about this, cancel. If I want to Manamorphose, I pay 2 red. So if I do Ritual, Pact, Ritual, I lose Delirium in one of these dies. I think I lose Delirium no matter what here. So my Channeler is going to die to state-based effects, so I probably should never have played the other Channeler. Alternatively, if I play the Preordain, and then exile Ritual, Pact, Ritual, still dies to state-based effect. Right, I'm going to Preordain. It gives me the most looks. Looks like I still got the Surveil off it. That's good. Get rid of the Bauble. Get rid of Channeler. Get rid of the Ritual. Storm's 15, so if I find Grapeshot, it's lethal now. And there it is. Take the Grapeshot. The Bowmasters will deal 1. They target a Channeler. And I will target them for 16. Surveil away another Grapeshot. And another Bauble. Our opponent told me that I played well. That was awfully kind of them. Yeah, sweet. We are now 2-0 in this modern league. Looking to make playing your favorite combo deck much easier? Look no further than the Epic Storm Mini Token Combo Pack, which is available at theepicstorm.com/shop for $14.99. This combo token pack comes with 84 double-sided tokens. That includes our classic Storm and mana tokens, as well as fan favorites such as Goblins, Squirrels, and Slime Time Live. But that's not all. We've expanded this token pack to cover a variety of formats with new tokens. Stop on by theepicstorm.com/shop and make an easy decision to elevate your combo game. We are back for the third match. I'm on the draw and our hand is, very good. I'm going to keep it. Our opponent with a very aggressive mulligan to 5. Misty Rainforest pass. We draw a Bauble. Let's go search out a Steam Vents. I already have both basics in my hand. Ouch. Play a Channeler. Get at least one Surveil trigger here off the Bauble. If they bolt in response, it's unfortunate. We'll Surveil away the Consider. Play the Bauble. Underworld Breach is a good one. I'll keep that. Let's look at their top card. They're on Living End. Okay. They fetch for the basic. And they cycle a Curator. I'll Bauble again here. Force a Negation. That's a good one to know about. I have 3 main deck copies of Pact and Negation that we're looking for. We draw Underworld Breach and another Channeler. They cycle Street Wraith, Stomping Ground, Ritual. They have 4 cards in hand and one of them is a Force of Negation. I think I'm going to hold the other Dragon's Rage Channeler for now. Keep the Consider. We're going to surveil away that Ritual. I'm fine keeping it on top for now. Attack for 3. They played these Sunken Ruins. Are you going to Cascade? What's going on here? They're going to, okay. In response, I'm going to bolt my own Channeler. So I'll get to surveil away the Desperate Ritual. My Channeler will die, and then it will come back due to the Living End. So we know that they have Force and Negation. I'd really love to draw a Pact here. Grapeshot. I'll start off with a Consider. We'll mill the Consider. And now my Consider resolves. Get rid of the Bolt. There's the Pact. The problem is I don't have another mana here. But what I can do is I can incentivize them to not block. So I'm going to Grapeshot them. This is a little bit of a trick on my part. We'll surveil away the Strike it Rich. I don't want that. And then we'll target the Sphinx. And now we'll go to combat. Swing. Our opponent does not accept my trade, which is exactly what we wanted. And now we can try to go off on our turn with backup. They play Boseiju here. Interesting. They attack for 9. They cycle Oliphant. Okay. They grab a Steam Vents. So we know 2 of the 3 cards in their hand at the moment. And then they don't play it, so they can't hard cast the Force here. They have to pitch cast it. I'll start by going to combat. Swing for 3. Post-combat Desperate Ritual. I'll keep the land. It offers me a little bit of flexibility here. They force, I'll pact. Who am I kidding? I should have milled it the whole time. I should have just milled it. I'm not going to actually use that mana. And our opponent's just super dead anyway. Manamorphose. Get rid of the Bobble. We'll make red. We find Grapeshot. Play Underworld Breach. Storm is 5. Get rid of the Preordain. Play Desperate Ritual. Storm is 6. And our opponent concedes. So a lot of these Living End lists have Endurance in the sideboard and they have Grief in the main deck. So I kind of think that maybe we should be boarding in the Ley Lines. It's a tough matchup to navigate, but this does shut off 2 cards. Bring in Pact and Negation because Pact stops Endurance and it stops their copies of Force and Negation. So I don't think Lightning Bolt is any good in this matchup. Those can all go to the sideboard. Now we're at 61. Probably board out 1 copy of Grapeshot, not that useful. Some lists play like 1 or 2 copies of Leyline of the Void in the board, so you could bring in a few bounce spells. I don't think I love Aria in this matchup. It's just tough to resolve, and then you have to win afterwards while having enough resources to do so. And they have Force of Vigor, they could have Boseiju, Adawara, all sorts of things. In the past, Blood Moon used to be a slam dunk. I have played quite a bit of Living End. It looks like our opponent's on a 3-color list. I mean, I just recorded a 4-color list. But now that they have those land cyclers, I don't even know how good Blood Moon really is. So I'm not really incentivized to bring that in here. I think I'm going to try -2 Striker Rich and bring in 2 Void Snare. I don't love Void Snare, but I do think that having some answers to possible ley lines is probably good. Game 2, we're on the draw, and I've opened up a no-lander. I mean, I love Channeler plus double Mishra's Bauble and Pact, but you're not allowed to keep this. I suppose we'll try this. I don't love it. Grapeshot goes on the bottom. So for this hand to be good, I need to find land number 2, a Dragon's Rage Channeler. Well, there's the Channeler. And then Pact of Negation. So step 1. I think I even drew it in the right order. This is the card we want first. Misty Rainforest gets a basic forest, so they're playing around Blood Moon from the get-go as well. And then they're going to cycle their Oliphant for a Steam Vents. They have the basic. I'm so glad I did not board in Blood Moon. They cycle a Striped Riverwinder. And then Grief exiling Living End. That hurts. Okay. The take here is probably the Underworld Breach. They take Consider. So if I draw a land, I could try to win here. That means that they probably have a turn 3 Living End. We draw another Channeler. I think it would be a trap to play it out. So we'll play the Striker Rich. Mill over the Ley Line. And we'll just sadly attack for 1. I really wish I would have drawn a land there. They have the 3rd land. And there's a main phase Violent Outburst. So they're going to get back Grief, Striped Riverwinder, and Oliphant. Next turn they attack for 8, 14, 16. It's possible that I win. I mean, it's not likely, but it's possible. I'd have to draw another Underworld Breach. And for our opponent to not have any interaction. They take the other Channeler. They must have a Force in their hand. Or an Endurance. I don't think anything else makes sense. Manamorphose. Alright, I'm just gonna do what I can here. Ritual. Well, Manamorphose. Blue-red. Consider. Play Underworld Breach. Storm is 4. It resolves. Interesting. Start on the Pyretic Ritual. Storm is 5. Manamorphose. I can't afford to cast the Channeler, so there's no point in keeping them. Storm is 6. We'll do blue-red. Play a Preordain. Put the Consider on the bottom. We'll take the Ritual. I don't think I'm capable of winning here, but we might as well cast some spells. And now Manamorphose. Storm is 9. We'll do blue, blue. Cast Consider. Storm 10. Keep Manamorphose. Play the Manamorphose. Blue, red. And that's the end of the line. Okay, so we'll head over to game number 3. Yeah, our opponent actually made a huge mistake because if I had drawn the land on turn 2, I could have won. I didn't, but we were set up to potentially win there. I thought for sure they had it based on how that game played out. Let's resubmit. So Void Snare obviously didn't look good that game, but a lot of Living Endless have like 2 Leyline of the Void in the board, which is a weird number, but if they open on a Leyline of the Void, I want to be able to win the game. So that is why I have the Void Snare in the deck. Game 3, we're on the play. I've opened up double Leyline, and not a whole lot else. I think you're supposed to send this one back. We will begrudgingly keep this, put back the Steam Vents. Play Scalding Tarn, pass the turn. Like, this hand is fine, but I was really hoping to open up on a Leyline in my 6. There's Grief. Yep. Like, if you wanted to keep that 7-card hand, you could, but it's basically a mulligan to 5, because you have double Leyline, and the Pact of Negation might not do anything the whole game. Like, because the Leyline shut off Endurance, so they'd have to have exactly Force of Negation for the Pact of Negation to even matter. So, you're really keeping a hand on, like, land, ritual, and I forget the last card was like a Manamorphose or something. Like, I just think it was kind of sketchy. Okay, so they discard my Underworld Breach. We'll grab the basic and consider. Mill Wooded Foothills, send it straight to the graveyard. We draw land number 3. Right on time, Leyline, right on time. They use their Misty Rainforest, and they cycle an Oliphant. They play the Steam Vents, and then Waker of Waves. So, assuming that they have the turn 3, and they put the land to the graveyard, so another Grief. I think I'm going to cycle Manamorphose here. But based on this, it looks like they have turn 3 Living End, which means I'm probably just done for. Blue-red. Sure. With the way this game played out, my 7 probably could have been okay depending on how my draw steps were, but I still think it was a mulligan. One thing you could consider, but it affects the mana base pretty badly, is playing Veil of Summer instead of the Leylines. But when you're on the draw against a Grief or Rakdos Scam, where they have Grief, you know, Undying Grief, Veil of Summer feels pretty embarrassing. We have Preordain. Let's cast it. That can go on the bottom. I don't think we want a Ritual. I'm going to play the Scalding Tarn just because it's an extra card in the graveyard. I understand I have to shuffle my deck in order to cast the Manamorphose, but I don't know. Like, we just need a full graveyard. There's their 3rd land. And here's the Cascade spell into Living. I mean, our opponent has opened up a couple pretty good hands so far. I'm going to respond to the Living End here. I'm going to cycle the Manamorphose. The only way I win this is if I get super lucky and my draw step is Underworld Breach. But once again, I just need cards, so more cardboard in the graveyard is good for me. Okay, so I'll play the Ritual here. The Griefs will come back. Our opponent has Lethal on board, so if I don't draw exactly Underworld Breach, I'm pretty sure I'm dead. 3 Underworld Breaches, 44 cards, what are the odds? Instead I draw a Leyline. Okay, so we are going to lose this match, and I am now 2-1 with 2 matches left to go. If you're still watching, make sure to give this video a like, comment, and subscribe. While you're near the description, here's a reminder to use our affiliate links if you're going to make a purchase from Amazon, Card Hoarder, or TCG Player. Just above those affiliate links, you'll find our social channels. Make sure to join those to connect with us. Let's bounce back after that tough loss. We're on the play for the 4th match. Keep. This hand is great. We'll lead on a Wooded Foothills, and then we'll activate it. Search out a Steam Vents, pay 2 life. Play our Channeler, play a Mishra's Bauble, we get a Surveil trigger, mill the other Bauble, and then let's see what our opponent's up to. Gemstone Cavern, so likely the Rhinos deck. We find a Strike It Rich. Okay, so not rhinos. They're on hardened scales with the gemstone caverns. Draw for turn. We're looking for another land here. We'll play Preordain. I'm going to keep the Breach. It's a little greedy, I'm aware, but we need one to win any... Oh, and I just happen to have it all. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Player land. Get in there. They play Saga into Patchwork Automaton. We'll untap and draw the Underworld Breach. And then I'm going to Manamorphose. So the magic number, as I said earlier in this video, is 4. We need 4 mana to win. Right now we have Desperate Ritual and that's it. This is actually going to win it for us. So we'll take that. We'll make red, play the Pyretic Ritual, put the Manamorphose to the graveyard, play a Desperate Ritual. The Flooded Strand can go to the graveyard. Pretty much everything goes to the graveyard at this point. That Desperate Ritual. We can play Strike It Rich. That other Underworld Breach can go. We'll cast a Manamorphose. Term is 6. Lightning Bolt can go to the graveyard. Blue-red. Play Desperate Ritual. Goodbye, Channeler. Term is 7. Play Strike It Rich. Strike It Rich can also go to the graveyard. Term 8. We'll sacrifice that for a blue. Play the Consider from our hands from 9. I think I want the Ritual. So we'll keep that. Keep that. Play the Desperate Ritual. From 10. Channeler goes to the graveyard. Let's surveil in another Channeler at this point. Get rid of the Preordain. We don't need that. And I think at this point we just cycle Manamorphose until we hit a Grapeshot. Alright, so we've played Manamorphose, double surveil, reveals land, and a bolt. We'll put those both to the graveyard. Manamorphose will make red. Alright, so we'll play a Pyretic now. Get rid of that third Channeler in the graveyard. We don't need it. Bobble to the graveyard. Ritual to the graveyard. And now we'll Manamorphose. Bobble. Ritual. Preordain goes to the graveyard. Ritual goes to the graveyard. It's from 14. Let's do blue. We find Striker Rich. We'll play that. There's Grapeshot to the graveyard. Lightning Bolt to the graveyard. Create a treasure. Play Preordains from 16. Put the Manamorphose to the graveyard. Pact of Negation to the graveyard. Preordain. Both lands can go to the graveyard. We draw another Underworld Breach. Play another Manamorphose. This will be from 17. Put Dragon's Rage Channeler to the graveyard. 23 cards left. The other Grapeshot. Red. Pyretic Ritual Storm 18. So we just got Lethal Storm. Consider goes to the graveyard. And now a Grapeshot for exactly 19. Boom. Game number 1 over Hardened Scales. I don't think we really need Pact of Negation in this matchup, so those can get sided out. And I think I just want the 3 answers. I don't think Aria Flame is going to be particularly good here, so we'll just board like this. I understand that the Leyland of Sanctities in that last match versus Living End, like, if you wanted to, you could play a Breeding Pool and a Stomping Ground in this deck somewhere. You'd have to find some cuts. And then you could play 4 Veil of Summer in the board. I just think that when you're on the draw versus the Grief decks, you really want play lines in on Veil of Summer. Like, Veil of Summer is better after turn 1, and I understand that. But you have to get past turn 1 for it to be good. Ancient Stirrings. They find a Walking Ballista. We will play the Bloodstained Mire. Fetch. You pretty much, if you can, for the most part, you always want to put fetch lands to the graveyard for your Underworld Breach. If you're worried about life total, that's an exception. But for, like, if you draw a fetch land, it's usually best to play it. They play Gemstone Caverns and the Patchwork Automaton. Alright, our hand doesn't really do anything at this point, so we just have to play a land and pass. They play the Wasp. Grafdigger's Cage. That's not very nice. I'm going to pass, or I'm going to wait. I mean, I should probably kill the Wasp. They have a Ballista in hand too. I'm going to wait on the Bolt. Cage here is kind of brutal. And our hand just doesn't do anything. They play another Automaton. I think I'm going to try to bolt the automaton here to buy time. So I'm bolting the automaton that's a 3/3, and now they can attack for 1. We know that they still have a walking ballista in their hand. Land number 4. We just have to pass. Agatha Soul's Cauldron. So that is graveyard hate. Maybe I should be bringing in the Aria Flame in this matchup. They're attacking for 3. I'll go to 10. We'll fetch on the end step. I go to 9. Grab another Steam Vents. Channeler was a good draw, so we'll play the Channeler. And I think I'm going to burn a couple cards here, looking for a Void Snare. Get rid of the Striker Rich. And our opponent's probably going to think I'm misplaying here, but I'm not. I'm intentionally playing out an Underworld Breach when I can't cast spells off it due to the cage. Get rid of the Grapeshot. They exile my Grapeshot in response. With the Grafdigger's Cage in play, it doesn't really matter all that much, but I only have one more Grapeshot left. Otherwise, I would have to burn them out using Lightning Bolts. And I milled the other Grapeshot! Ah! I think I'm pressured into keeping this because I boarded one out, right? Or was that last match? Nope, I could have milled it. There was still another Grapeshot in my deck. Damn. I'm just a dummy. Whoops. They play the Walking Ballista. And now all their creatures are Walking Ballistas and I'm dead. Okay, we can go to the next one. Okay, so I probably want the Aria Flames. Brought out 2 Lightning Bolt and 1 Grapeshot. Game number 3, we're on the play. This hand is literally a turn 2 win. Keep. I am here to party. The only way that this hand could be better is if the Steam Vents was another Scalding Tarn. Fetch. Grab a Steam Vents. Ouch. Play the Dragon's Rage Channeler. Pass the turn. I'm trying to think what our best draw is next turn. Another Ritual would be really good. A Manamorphose. Another Channeler would be okay, but I couldn't use it until post-Underworld Breach. They play an Yawgmoth Nexus, and they dismember my Channeler. That's unfortunate. But we drew another. Alright, we'll play it. Player land. Pass the turn. They denied me the turn 2. That's not very kind of them. They play an Urza's Saga, and a Walking Ballista. Why are you like this? Come on. They kill my Channeler. We draw a land. We'll just pass here. So you might be saying, but Bryant, you can go Ritual, Manamorphose, Underworld Breach, Channeler, but then you don't have a whole lot going on. They have a Hardened Scales, 2 mana here, for another Walking Ballista. Wow. I'm in trouble because next turn the Saga goes up to the 3rd chapter, and they get Grafdigger's Cage. So I had the nuts hand and our opponent just countered it. We'll draw for turn. Another Manamorphose. I think we're supposed to just start on Manamorphose and see what we can do. Red, blue, another land. We'll fetch. Grab the basic. Play another Manamorphose. Red, blue. Strike it rich. Doesn't really help me here. Play Pyretic Ritual. Play Breach. So if I go Striker Rich into Channeler, it has Delirium, but if I ever lose Delirium, they can shoot it with the Ballista. I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to actually do here. We'll escape in a Channeler, I guess. And then play Desperate Ritual. Need to get really lucky. From a 7. We'll mill the other Ritual here. I guess I'll Manamorphose. Yeah, and I'm at a point here where I'm going to lose Delirium. I don't know if this was actually the line. Now my Channeler is a 1/1, it's going to die. Yep. Think I'll keep the Ritual. So, I'm not really sure what the winning line looks like from... Like, even if I draw Grapeshot, I don't think it's quite enough. We'll escape a Ritual. Or, I'm sorry, escape Manamorphose. Blue-red. Actually, if I draw Grapeshot, it's exactly enough. So if I draw a Grapeshot here, it's the win. Another mana. That's another chance. Okay, come on, deck. Pretty please be Grapeshot. Red, red. Strike it rich. I don't think I can win now. From 12. I guess if I draw Grapeshot this turn and then next turn draw like one of my 2 bolts. From 12. Or like chain cantrips into a Grapeshot. And there's the Grapeshot. Ah, one card too deep. So I can play Striker Rich. I can flashback Striker Rich from 14, from 15 Grapeshot. So I'm one storm short. Okay, so we're gonna flashback Striker Rich. So I have 2 lightning bolts in my deck. That's what we're drawing towards here. And I have not escaped either yet. So one storm. Should I hit the ballista at all? Like, is there a difference between them being at 1 and being at 2? I think I'm probably supposed to hit their ballista. Okay, so I need to draw one of the 2 bolts, or our opponent doesn't get Grafdigger's Cage, and then I draw another Underworld Breach. They create a construct. Actually, if I draw Breach, I would still need another card in graveyard. They get a Haywire Might. So now my bolt doesn't keep me alive, because they could Haywire Might their own thing. Draw a Channeler. We'll play it. Pass the turn. We have Instant Sorcery Enchantment. They have the Agatha Soul Cauldron, so now they can turn their creatures into walking ballistas. That's so good here. They swing for 6. I'm not blocking. Okay. Draw for turn. The Bobble. Yeah, the Haywire Might was really good because even if I rip a Lightning Bolt, it's not good enough anymore. Another Walking Ballista. I was 1 storm short. So close. Darkbound Ravager should kill me here. Yeah, I'm just super dead. And that'll do. So we're now 2-2 in this league. I mean, that was a really close one. I just came up short. So we could have drawn Preordain into double land that didn't matter. Yeah, I wasn't going to win this one. Alright, so 2-2. Let's just try to keep our head up and win match number 5. With Card Hoarder, renting your favorite combo deck has never been easier. There isn't a more affordable solution for Magic Online. Want to play the deck in this video? Check out the pinned comment below to easily rent the deck from Card Hoarder. Did you know you can rent the Epic Storm from Card Hoarder for as little as 7 tickets a week? We've made it simple to do so by including a button to rent the entire deck at theepicstorm.com/decklist. Alright, so the 5th and final round. Yeah, this hand's amazing. Keep. So thinking about that loss last round, I boarded out 2 bolts and a Grapeshot. It's possible that if I had boarded differently... I mean, we never actually saw the cards that I boarded in for what it's worth. Because I boarded in the Aria Flames and then we never saw them. Even when I was surveilling. But theoretically, having more burn spells in the deck could have led to a win there. So maybe I'm just not supposed to be boarding out Grapeshots and Lightning Bolts as often as I am. Well, I think it's okay to board out bolts in matchups where they're bad. Like Living End, you don't really want Lightning Bolt. But in general, I just think that maybe you're supposed to leave in like all 3 Grapeshots more often. I guess that's my message here. Because we had a game like that where I went really, really deep into our library and then just couldn't find one. They have a turn 1 Delighted Halfling. Okay, we have a potential for a turn 2 win here. Land wasn't really what we wanted. Let's fetch. We'll grab a Steam Vents. So in order to win this turn, I would have to find another ritual before I cast Manamorphose. We'll surveil away the land. So now I would have 2 draws or 2 surveils to look for that extra ritual. The downside is if they untap and just Orcish Bowmasters me, I feel really dumb. I think I'm going to play it. I think the correct move is actually to just pass here and not blow your entire hand on the chance of maybe hitting another ritual. So I'll pass, but obviously Orcish Bowmasters is not what I want to see here. Another Delighted Halfling. There's the Bowmasters. So we have Sorcery Land in the graveyard. I am going to cast Manamorphose. This is where I obviously surveil into a ritual and hate myself. Yep. I've played Magic before. That's exactly like, but if I had cast this on my main phase, this would have been a land. We'll bin that. Blue-red. Okay. So my Channeler will die. Draw for turn. Let's just flashback Striker Rich. Pass. It guarantees the mana that I need next turn, so that's why I'm doing it. Our opponent plays a 3rd land, and they don't attack. Interesting. Manamorphose. I'm going to start on a Preordained here. Put the Consider on the bottom. We'll take the Ritual. Play Dragon's Rage Channeler. I have a feeling that they have Chord of Calling in their hand, but it's not a card I can afford to play around, so we're just not going to. Play a Pyretic Ritual, Surveil, Vesper Ritual. I mean, the real punt was that I apparently was supposed to just go for the turn 2 win, but I didn't. So I am punished. Underworld Breach, Surveil away the Lightning Bolt, Breach, and here's the Chord of Calling. Yep, that's exactly what I expected. Okay, we will go to game number 2. I don't know. Like, I guess I was supposed to play the Ritual on turn 2. Like, in hindsight, obviously it was the correct play. But if I had spewed Ritual Manamorphose and hit 2 duds, people in the comment section would have been like, Bryant plays his decks too aggressively. And it's really tough finding that middle ground. Alright, so we're going to bring in Leylines. Take out Bolts. I don't really feel like the matchup is about bolting their creatures. Impact and Negation stops Chord of Calling and Endurance and Force of Vigor, or even Instant Speed Orcish Bowmasters, so I think we want those. I've seen Leylines in some lists recently, so maybe you're supposed to bring in a few bounce spells, take out a couple copies of Strike It Rich. Try it again. No lands. Mulligan. Ay. We'll keep this. Bottom the Grapeshot. Play Wooded Foothills and the Mishra's Bauble. Try myself. Definitely don't want a Leyline, so we'll fetch. Grab a Steam Vents. Pass the turn. Draw off of the Mishra's Bauble. It's another Consider. That's fine. Basic Forest and 2 Delighted Halfling. Let's play another Consider. Keep the Underworld Breach. That was a good draw. Draw for turn. Manamorphose is also good. Okay. Play Consider. I don't think we want another Pact to Negation. That can go to the graveyard. Play Bauble. So I need to find another Ritual and like a Dragon's Rage Channeler. Play the Mountain, and then we'll Bauble them. They have a Yawgmoth on top. Okay. Draw a card off the Bauble. It's another Underworld Breach. Not a draw step we wanted. Our opponent searches out an overgrown tomb and plays a Wall of Roots into a Young Wolf. They attack for 1, I'll go to 16. We draw and it's a Manamorphose. Let's cycle at least one of these. So we're going to cast a Manamorphose. Blue, red. We find our 3rd land. Let's Manamorphose again. Red, blue. Channeler. Okay, so we have instant artifact land. So if I was to play it, it could die to a Bowmaster. The issue is that I am 1 mana short of winning next turn. We know that our opponent has 3 cards in hand and one of them is Yawgmoth. I think I'm going to just hold the Channeler. So a land for turn could win it for us. Another Desperate Ritual effect. Those are really what we're looking to find here. They decide to play out Beseiju. That must have been what they were holding up last turn. They play the Yawgmoth. So they can kill my Channeler at any point now. Let's Preordain. Breach can go on the bottom. I don't even know if the Void Snare is good. I guess it makes them recast the Yawgmoth on their turn. So they're going to draw some cards in response. Or at least 1 card. They play another land. Yawgmoth is back. And they attack for 2. I'll go to 13. They still have 3 cards in hand. We found the land. I'm allowed to try to win here. I don't know if we'll be successful, but I'm allowed to try. Grab the Steam Vents. Play Dragon's Rage Channeler. And try a Desperate Ritual. Surveil. Put another Ritual to the graveyard. Play an Underworld Breach. Put that land to the graveyard. They sacrifice a creature to draw a card and Undying. So they'll do it again. Our opponent's just going to draw a whole bunch of cards here. They put a -1/-1 counter on my Channeler. They gave their Wolf -1 and now they draw a card. They'll do it again. Put a counter on my Channeler. Channeler is now a 1/1. Endurance. I'm going to Pact and Negation the Endurance. We'll put the Pact and Negation to the graveyard. And they had double Endurance. Okay. That's what I get for not opening up on Leyline. So we kind of got smushed in the back half of this league. What's weird is I think this deck's actually pretty good. Like, I would take this deck to a competitive event tomorrow. I actually really like the deck. I just didn't do well in this league today. So I think the main deck is actually pretty solid. I don't know if I'd actually change any cards in the main deck. I do think the sideboard could use some work. I like Blood Moon. We didn't really face the matchups today where I feel like Blood Moon's really good. I don't know how I feel about Aria of Flame as a pivot plan. So if you can think of a better pivot plan for this deck, please let me know. I'd love to hear from you. But I think Aria of Flame and the Thassa's Oracle are kind of like the cards I'm less excited about on the board. Oracle's really just for one-ring decks, but I feel like it's actually really tough to win with. So I don't even know if I really like it that much. So thank you for watching. If you have suggestions, please put those in the comment section. It would mean a lot to me. And have a great day. Keep storming. Hey, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to support the channel. If you're looking for more sweet combo content, we have tons of it over at theepicstorm.com, where you can find matchup guides, play-by-play, and storm puzzles featuring a monthly combo expert. You're going to love what we have over there.